What's up, y'all? This is Dane Smith, and today I'm here to give you the user experience research plan for AgChat. So, without further ado, and just to catch y'all up real quick, AgChat is my emerging media capstone project. It's a podcast where we close the knowledge gap between the average consumer and the average producer by debunking common misconceptions of agriculture. So, let's get into it. And today I'm going to be going over my beta presentations at the checkpoints of 25, 50, and 75%, as well as a quick snippet of episode 1 and the trailer that I put together, and the user experience research plan, the research goal, methodology, and analysis that goes into it. So for the first half of the presentation, we're going to go over my beta checkpoints. At beta 25%, I updated my agenda on a Google Sheet, started recording the intro and outro. The intro that I settled on was Welcome Back to AgChat, the podcast where we close the knowledge gap between the average consumer and the average producer by debunking common misconceptions of agriculture. And I really like it. And introducing a program called Otter.ai, which has been single-handedly the MVP of this project. It's making it all possible. This is it. It transcribes recordings, so I don't have to sit there and meticulously write it down after listening to it. And then I started editing audio, which I will show y'all a snippet of. And I've been using Adobe Audition for that. The beta 50%, I have two episodes scheduled with Dr. Coulong and Dr. Calloway over beef and dairy production and organic plant production. I've been going through the transcription because Otter isn't perfect and I have to go in every once in a while and edit some of it, but by and large, it's very reliable. And I drafted some questions for those episodes, for those interviews. And then I learned that I need to redraft those questions because whenever you're in the podcast studio and just having that banter back and forth, it's very difficult to stay on track with the same 10 to 15 questions because you go off on different tangents. So the beta 75%, I have 2 episodes recorded and I'm still editing both of them. One of them, it went a little better in my opinion than the other one. I might have to redo beef and dairy production with Dr. Calloway, but organic plant production with Dr. Coulong went really well. Very pleased with it. My design system overhaul, if y'all watch my last YouTube video, all the things that went into me correcting my design system because it was not very accessible, and my further recording review, So still going through Otter, sifting through what can be used and what can't, because there's so many instances where I start recording and I get tongue-tied and I have to start all over. So before we get into the user experience research plan, I want to show y'all the trailer, the draft 1 of the trailer I put together from the recordings that I've done in Grady already. And you can see here, it's been transcribed thanks to Otter again. So,
have you heard words like GMO, hormone, and all natural mentioned before when buying your food? Do you know what all of these terms mean? Want to learn about how your food gets from the farm to the table? Hi, my name is Dane Smith, and I'm an emerging media master's student at the University of Georgia. I graduated in May of 2020 with my bachelor's degree in agricultural communications. AgChat was the perfect opportunity for me to merge both of my passions, agriculture and media. AgChat is the podcast where we bridge the knowledge gap between the average consumer and the average producer by debunking common misconceptions of agriculture, as I bring on different professors of the University of Georgia's College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, and the University of Georgia's New Media Institute. AgChat gives voices to a farmer that would otherwise not have one. You can listen to AgChat on Spotify, Breaker, Anchor, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Leave a rating and a review. Be sure to check out our website, linked down below. And special thanks to the NMI for letting me use their podcast studio. Thank you.
So as you can see, I'm still not the best at editing and recording audio, but I think this is leaps and bounds better than what it was. And episode 1 is going to be a lot better than this. I can guarantee that. Now that I have a better handle on how to record, how I talk, and what I need to say before getting on with it. And here is some of episode 1 with Dr. Kulang. And I think that this is a pretty important part to show y'all because it's the biggest misconception about sustainable organic plant production. So
in organically grown produce, what would you say the biggest misconception is?
I think the biggest misconception, at least from the consumer side of things, is that if it's organic, it automatically means that it is sustainable. And in many cases, that is true, but in other cases, I don't think that it would necessarily fit in most people's definition of sustainability.
And in what way have you seen that harm the consumer?
So, I mean, if you're a consumer and you are paying a price premium for this particular product with the idea that you are supporting this type of farming system, I think that could be harmful because you are potentially being misled about what you're supporting. Maybe it's not your small local farmer. It could be a huge 10,000 acre operation that doesn't care about what you care about. And so forth.
So that's just a quick snippet of what I've gotten done with this episode, and I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm still learning how to increase volume because there are moments that are a little soft-spoken and it's hard to hear both of us. But back to the presentation, my user experience research plan. My research goals for this are, I guess, because it's such a niche field, I want to make sure that I can keep people interested. Is my goal clearly understood to represent farmers in a way that they haven't been represented before? I want to make sure that's clear. How can I be a more effective podcast host? As in, earlier, my sister told me that it would help if I wasn't so scripted and just review stuff like that. Making sure AgChat is accessible to everyone, because up until I overhauled my design system, the colors were hard to see for even me. And that's another reason Otter has been so useful, is the accessibility of people that might not be able to hear, but they still want to learn about common misconceptions of agriculture. So that's a very important point. And obviously, finding out any way that AgChat can be improved upon, because clearly has some way to go, but I'm very pleased with the progress I've made so far. So for the methodology of researching all of this, I went ahead and put card sorting and the Google Forms at the front, because I have a Google form with open-ended and closed-ended questions, just like the beginning of whenever you're like still conceptualizing it. So how old are you? Do you attend college? Do you have an agriculture experience background? Do you enjoy podcasts? Because the target audience for this is being able to teach people college age about agriculture, specifically people that don't have an agricultural background. So I think that this is going to help a lot. How'd you hear about AgChat? And then it goes into some teaser kind of questions like, can you define organically grown? Do you prefer organically grown produce? And then this Trello board, which is reminiscent of the product reaction cards because it's not all 118 terms. Obviously, it's not near that many and it's more than one word. But I thought this would be, obviously, I'm going to do the product cards as well. But this one is something that I just came up with as a supplemental version. The colors are pleasing to look at. Put that in agree. I would listen to this again, agree. So it is kind of a mix of your usability scale and suggestions. That's for people to make cards and add them in. Mission statement is clear. I think I did that really well. So that would go and done well edited and easy to follow. So that's just like a small part of a supplemental method I would use. I would still use the product cards and this Google form, but all 118 terms seemed like a lot. So I was going to do this first to make sure that this was feasible before I committed on everything else. Methodology, the roles, since I'm the only one in this group, I'm kind of doing everything on my own. And balancing is going to be key because I think the best tools to balance are going to be the Google Sheet form, where you can look at all the results that are graphed out and make sure that enough college age people are listening to it. The sampling, I'm going to try to get people in Grady that don't have agricultural backgrounds like my classmates. So I think that would be a pretty important part of it. And the analysis of my results. The tasks are pretty simple since podcasts are just listening, just making sure that they stick through with listening and finish it out. Surveys, I will be using the metrics of the Google Sheet and the Google Form, like I mentioned before, to make sure that college age kids are listening to it, and also using Trello for a supplemental method. The product reaction cards, obviously, and that's when you have 118 terms and you ask the user to pick the 5 that they believe describes your product the best. The issues, as far as categorizing them from major to minor, major issues are going to be something that can be fixed or have to be fixed quickly. If it's just a misspelled word in one of the transcriptions, I don't think that that's something I should move other things out of the way for. But if it sounds like I'm saying something that I'm not, or if I get tongue-tied, that's something, and you hear it, that's something that would need to be corrected. So major and minor would be categorized based on how quickly they can be fixed, because if it can be fixed quickly, I would probably get to it later and start on the heavy lifting things that take longer to do and do them immediately. The results are the same as the issues, just making sure that everything that can be fixed quickly is done so, but after all of the major issues are. And that is it for my AgChat user experience research plan. I'm going to do more product reaction cards, and because I have to pay copyright for or not pay copyright, but cite the Microsoft company that did it. And I'm pretty pleased with how far I've come, but there's still a long way to go. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and make sure you listen to AgChat. Thank you.